Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Faye Kwan. A second sinkhole has appeared along Jalan Masjid India, just 50 meters from where the ground collapsed last Friday. The latest incident occurred around 2:30 a.m. on Wednesday, following a storm the previous night. The sinkhole area has been cordoned off by the Kuala Lumpur City Hall, and the city's mayor, Datuk Sri Maimunah Muhammad Sharif, assured that follow-up action would be taken with Indah Water Consortium and other agencies to prevent more sinkholes from forming. Meanwhile, search and rescue operations have resumed for the sixth day to locate the Indian tourist that fell 8 meters down the first sinkhole. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadillah Yusof says relevant authorities have been instructed to conduct an integrity audit on the sewage pipeline along the road once search and rescue efforts have concluded. The cause of the sinkholes will also be determined through this audit. No suspected Mpox cases have been detected among travellers screened at the country's international entry points since August 16th. According to the Health Ministry, 32 out of 33 suspected Mpox cases have been confirmed as negative, with the remaining case still awaiting laboratory results. So far, the World Health Organization (WHO) has not issued any advisories or recommendations for travel restrictions. However, the ministry advised travellers from high-risk countries to monitor their health for 21 days from the date of arrival. They are also advised to take preventive measures such as practicing personal hygiene, avoiding contact with symptomatic individuals or sick animals, seeking medical attention promptly if symptomatic, and adhering to guidelines issued by the Health Ministry. On August 14th, the WHO declared Mpox a public health emergency of international concern, with cases already detected outside Africa, such as in Sweden and Thailand. The Cabinet has decided to bar ministers and deputy ministers from contesting for posts in sports associations. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil says the Cabinet made the same decision in 2007 and will continue to enforce the same practice.
As a result, both he and Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad will no longer be vying for the Kuala Lumpur Football Association presidency. Fahmi said he had also contacted Football Association of Malaysia President Datuk Hamidin Muhammad Amin for advice and guidance. While Nik Nazmi said he would continue to support the KLFA and KL City FC as a professional football club, while continuing to be the patron of the Setiawangsa Rangers Football Club, one of the KLFA affiliated clubs he founded in 2018.
Airlines will soon be required to fully refund passengers for flights delayed by 5 hours or more. Transport Minister Anthony Loke says this is part of amendments to the Malaysian Aviation Consumer Protection Code 2016, which will be gazetted and enforced on September 2nd.
He said passengers may take up the option of a full refund if they wish to cancel their journey and opt to purchase a different flight. He said refunds had to be offered through the passenger's initial payment method. Though airlines could also offer alternatives such as credit shells or flight vouchers, consumer would still have the choice to decide on their preferred refund method. According to Loke, other amendments to the law will also see refunds applicable for flights disrupted due to extraordinary circumstances like changing weather patterns. Meanwhile, effective January, Loke said changes in flight schedules will need to be notified to consumers at least 2 weeks prior to the departure date, unless it involves extraordinary circumstances or unavoidable technical issues. Additionally, complaint periods have also been extended from 1 year to 2 years. Loke said with these amendments, consumers will be guaranteed of increased protection, with MAVCOM monitoring the airlines to ensure they adhere to industry benchmarks.
Malaysia Airlines will now be required to submit monthly reports to the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, or CAAM, as part of a special audit, says Transport Minister Anthony Loke. This follows a special audit on Malaysia Airlines Berhad due to a series of technical issues affecting the national carrier.
Additionally, Loke said the renewal period for Malaysia Airlines Air Operator Certificate has been shortened from 3 years to just 1 year. The CAAM carried out surprise inspections on Malaysia Airlines and their engineering department between June 24th to June 28th this year. The findings reveal significant issues, including problems with mechanical components and a shortage of skilled workers needed for aircraft maintenance. Since January, 63 of the 411 skilled workers in the airline's engineering department have left the company. This comes amid a series of recent technical issues for the carrier. On August 22nd, a Malaysia Airlines flight heading to Medina had to return to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The day before, a Shanghai-bound flight turned back due to cabin pressure problems. Additionally, on August 20th, a flight from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur made an emergency stop in Alice Springs.
The ringgit is expected to strengthen further against the US dollar next week, driven by signals from the US Federal Reserve that an interest rate cut may happen in September. We speak to Dr. Muhammad Afzan Nizam Abdul Rashid from Bank Muamalat Malaysia about the impacts of the highly anticipated Fed's rate cuts on the ringgit.
At the moment, the Fed fund rate stands at 5.5% versus OPR at 3%. That gives about 2.5% advantage on US rates. But because of the anticipation of rate cuts in the US, the gap between those two rates will narrow. That will make Malaysian financial assets become more appealing, especially in the eyes of the foreign investors. So the immediate impact, I would say, the appreciation of ringgit going forward. So of course, the appreciation of ringgit would actually result in a better purchasing power for Malaysians, those who plans to study abroad, those who plans to go overseas vacations, and those who plans to buy more stuff from abroad. Malaysian is expected to have better purchasing power on that note. So I think, the bigger picture, obviously, the appreciation of ringgit also indicates a better confidence level among the investors. And this has been reflected through our equities market. And we saw also in terms of the inflow of funds from abroad, from the foreign investors in our equities market, in our bond market. So the strengthening of ringgit, in a way, suggests is a vote of confidence towards our economic conditions.
As the US is expected to follow the footsteps of its developed markets counterparts, including the Bank of England and Bank of Canada in cutting its interest rates, will Bank Negara Malaysia also follow suit?
In our case, perhaps slightly different in a way, because I think the Bank Negara are paying close attention towards policy changes, especially in respect to subsidy rationalizations. And I think we have seen the rise of diesel prices on the 10th of June by around RM1.20, but it only resulted inflation of 2%. So it's still stable in that sense, because simply, diesel only account 0.2% in the consumer price index weighting. But in the case of RON95, which has yet to be adjusted upwards, it accounts about 5% of total CPI weight. So on that note, any policy changes on subsidies in respect to RON95 is likely to have a significant impact on our inflation dynamics. And on that note, I think it is quite clear in Bank Negara's inflation projections. They are looking at 2% to 3.5% this year. So it's a 1.5% margins in terms of their forecast range. So it actually reflects the degree of uncertainties as a result of the anticipation of changes in policy. So I think Bank Negara is still worried about the dynamics of our inflation. So I don't think Bank Negara would actually immediately cut their OPR anytime soon at the moment.
We'll be back with more after the break.
Di era digital, pemasaran bukan hanya tentang penjualan semata-mata. Penceritaan menarik jadi kekuatan dalam membina hubungan perniagaan, tingkat pengetahuan, perkasakan perniagaan anda. Saksikan segmen Jiwa SME dalam program AWANI Pagi dan Niaga AWANI setiap Isnin hingga Khamis di saluran 501. Dibawakan oleh penaja utama jelajah jiwa SME, Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda.
Welcome back. At least 9 Palestinians have been reported killed in the occupied West Bank as the Israeli military continues its largest raid in nearly 2 decades. In the major operation, 4 Palestinian cities, Jenin, Tulkam, Nablus and Tubas, have been targeted simultaneously, involving hundreds of troops and airstrikes. Palestinian reports say that the main roads into Jenin have been closed off, with armed clashes in the city's refugee camp. Israeli forces are also said to have entered a hospital in Jenin and blocked off another 2 in Tulkam. Violence in the West Bank has surged since the start of the Gaza war. The UN reported last Wednesday that more than 600 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. This figure includes 589 killed by Israeli forces, 11 by Israeli settlers, and 7 where the perpetrators remain unknown. South Korean authorities are stepping up efforts to combat the growing problem of sexually explicit deepfake content. They are now looking to social media platforms for help in tackling the problem. The move follows public outrage after local media reported that deepfake images and videos of South Korean women were frequently shared in Telegram chat rooms. The Korea Communications Standards Commission said it plans to establish a consultative body to enhance communication with social media firms for deleting and blocking such content. Ryu Hee Lim, the Commission's chairman, stated that they will also seek to create a direct consultation channel for platforms without offices in South Korea and set up a 24-hour hotline for victims. Police data shows that the number of deepfake cases has nearly doubled from 156 in 2021 to 297 so far this year, with most perpetrators being teenagers. Victims are typically female, including school students and female soldiers. In addition to Telegram, authorities will be seeking cooperation from X, Meta's Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube to tackle this issue. Meanwhile, South Korea's parliament passed a bill allowing nurses to perform some medical procedures typically conducted by doctors. This is amid an ongoing strike by trainee doctors and a recent surge in COVID-19 cases, which threatens to overwhelm hospital emergency rooms. The new law establishes a legal framework for government measures that permit physician-assistant nurses to carry out some medical procedures. For years, nurse lobby groups and unions in South Korea have advocated for a law to improve working conditions for nurses. However, their efforts faced opposition from doctors and a lack of bipartisan support. The Korean Nurses Association welcomed the bill, saying it was the outcome of a 19-year effort. But the Korean Medical Association criticized the decision, accusing the government of driving a wedge between hospital staff and arguing that the bill could harm patients due to unlicensed medical practices and confusion over the scope of work. In a move towards sustainability, toy maker Lego is on track to phase out fossil fuels in the production of its iconic bricks. By 2032, Lego aims to replace the traditional oil-based plastic with more expensive, renewable and recycled materials, having secured long-term supply deals with producers. Lego, which produces billions of plastic bricks each year, has been testing over 600 alternative materials to develop a new eco-friendly brick. However, success has been limited. Now the company is shifting its focus to gradually reduce the oil content in its bricks. This will come at a cost, with Lego prepared to pay up to 70% more for certified renewable resin, the raw material used to make the bricks. Lego CEO Niels Christiansen said that the family-owned company will not pass on the additional costs onto customers. Lego suppliers are now turning to bio-waste, such as used cooking oil and food industry waste fats, to replace fossil fuels in plastic production. However, the market for recycled or renewable plastic remains in its early stages. That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Faye Kwan. Thank you for watching and good night.